This is Bree Payton, education reporter for Watchdog.org, here today with Daryl Allison, president for Parent Educational Freedom in North Carolina. Daryl, thanks so much for joining us today.
It's a pleasure being with you, Bree.
So today we're going to talk to Daryl about the state of school choice in North Carolina. Last year, the legislature approved an Opportunity Scholarship Fund, or a voucher program, but currently it's being challenged in court. So Daryl, can you tell me a little bit about the status of the lawsuit, kind of what's going on right now?
Well, it's been a journey, Bree, and not to belabor the point, but I think it's a very, very important point. We passed the measure. This year, February, we had oversubscription of the program. Originally, the program had about 2,500 students would be eligible for the program, $10 million, and we had over 5,500 applications coming in from all but three of North Carolina counties. Very popular, high demand, and all of that came in, and that 5,500 came in 25 days. I think when our opponents saw such demand, they went to the court, and the lower court judge granted them a temporary injunction, meaning shut down the program until we have the constitutional question answered around the program. And so we, with our strong partners, Institute for Justice, appealed that temporary injunction. And we were successful 90 days later with the Supreme Court of North Carolina overturned the lower court judge's temporary injunction. We were happy about that, but what it did was it gave us 90 less days to implement the program. And your viewers and listeners know that anytime you're doing something for the first time, you're already going to have some glitches and ups and downs in terms of putting something in place, and then you slap a legal challenge on top of that with less days to get it done. Really a challenge, but we were able to overcome that. The end of May, we were able to get the program back on its feet. We had over 300 private schools, little over 50% private schools participating in the program, because private schools have to register to participate. And we had families in May who were already, whose kids were already enrolled in those private schools, taking courses, and then our opponents came with a permanent injunction to the same judge. And the thought would be, right, that if the North Carolina Supreme Court overturned the temporary injunction in February, then the thought would be that they would also overturn a permanent injunction. So don't waste the time. But they filed a permanent injunction, and in August, when school had started for several hundred kids who were literally in the private schools, and kids were waiting that next Monday, the next week, to start school, the judge granted a permanent injunction freezing up the dollars. And so we immediately, again, with our partners here and also with the attorneys for the North Carolina General Assembly, filed suit. And we were very excited with the fact that the Court of Appeals, not the Supreme Court this time, actually a court below the North Carolina Supreme Court, actually granted permission for those families to utilize the program for this year. And so that was a good thing. And we'll deal with the merits of the case, the constitutionality of the case here pretty soon. And so to date, Bree, what we have is about 1,300 students that are accessing the scholarship program, if you will. I mentioned we have over 300 plus private schools that are participating in this inaugural year. So it's onward and forward. Despite the distractions and despite the constant legal maneuvering that our opponents use, we're seeing a resilience not only with our families who desperately want this as an option, but we're also seeing our private schools step up. One thing I like to make mention of, Bree, is when this permanent injunction came in, news media was ready. They were contacting us, asking us how many private schools have released those kids now that the money is held up, and I'm happy to say none. In fact, the opposite happened, where you had boards of those schools say, hey, whether the courts lift this permanent injunction or not, we're going to find a way to keep these kids here. And so that was really, really, really powerful. Oftentimes come a crisis, that's when you really see your best at work. So, I say despite, again, the legal challenges, what has happened, I believe, is a real galvanizing not only of families, but supporters in schools across the state to really dig in and say, hey, the Opportunity Scholarship Program is very much needed here. We're all in. We're stakeholders, and we're going to do right by our children, our citizens. So challenging time, but a really exciting time in North Carolina.
Sure, yeah. So, okay, just to get this right. So a judge tried to put a permanent injunction or freeze the funds for these kids a week before school started. And, it sounds like you guys were able to get that straightened out. But in the meantime, while those funds were being frozen, the schools didn't kick out any of the students that were there on the scholarship, right?
That's right. You actually saw for your larger schools, and we're talking about schools, Bree, they had 30 and 40 scholarship students. I mean, so you multiply that times $4,200. I mean, we're not talking pennies here. And so for boards of schools and school leaders to take that kind of stance with real dollars on the table, that's a powerful sign. And so we just couldn't be any more happier about the environment that we're seeing across the state here. Again, the Opportunity Scholarship Program is for that child, low income, and in desperate need. So it's a new terrain for that family in a lot of ways who heretofore never dreamt of a private education because they couldn't afford it. Now that they have the resources to do that, and so just a wonderful opportunity here for North Carolina, I believe, to not only put a stake in the ground here to preserve this program, but look for hopeful future expansion of it as well.
Sure, yeah. So from what I understand, the state was only given now a fraction of the money that it has, set aside for these scholarship programs. Do you think that's because of all this legal back and forth of, oh, we're giving you the money, no, we're not giving you the money? Do you think that's maybe part of the reason why they still have a lot of these funds unused?
Yeah, so what I think is a situation, and the North Carolina State Education Assistance Authority is the agency responsible for monitoring or overseeing the program, and they've done a good job. Again, it's a tough enough situation when you're trying to do something for the first year. You slap a couple of challenging injunctions in the legal process. It's even more daunting, if you will. But that being said, what happened, Bree, and what we've seen, the agency cannot give out any more dollars than families are ready to receive them, meaning families are in the private schools, have elected to the private schools, and their children are there to receive the dollars. What happened, one of the unfortunate things that happened from the on and off, we have to understand at the end of the day, we're talking about human beings. We're talking about a family, mother, father, who's trying to do right by their child. And so, there are a number of families given the up and down during the course of, 6 to 8 months. They just said, what we're going to do, we really want this program, we really want this scholarship, but because of the uncertainty or the up and down, we don't want to put our child in that kind of situation. So there are a few families, quite a few families actually, that said, hey, we'll just wait and look at this program for the next year, meaning, once the courts ultimately decide the constitutionality of the program, and we believe that, when we hear that decision, that it's here to stay, we're going to really look at this and look at this in a real aggressive way. So there were some slippage, in terms of families who, because of the legal challenges here, decided to just hold out this year. And so those are dollars there, Bree, for some families. And then you have some families who qualify for the scholarship to say, hey, we're going to look at next semester. Again, when you look at the fact that, Bree, the injunctions came in May and then August is when school started. And so because we had to fight and, we didn't get that permanent injunction lifted until several weeks later, families had to enroll their children in schools. And a lot of them begrudgingly enroll their children to the public school that they were assigned to. So for them, what they're going to look at is go ahead and work out this first semester with the school that they're assigned to, and then second semester, January, we'll probably see an uptick of families who are utilizing the program for the second semester of the school year.
Okay, so you're anticipating to see an uptick in the number of students who and families who will take advantage of this scholarship.
Absolutely, and still the agency is still working with private schools as well to confirm those families that are currently in school. So we think we have about 1,300 students that are taking advantage of the program here. And again, if you remember, it's about 2,500 students for the original program. I think we'll see an uptick second semester, January 2015, usage of that program as well.
Sure. And has your organization, talked to parents who have expressed these concerns? And, do you kind of, have you talked to parents who say, like, yeah, we're totally going to do this next semester, or, oh, we're super interested and we really want this?
Yeah, I mean, every day. I mean, literally every day. We are Parents for Educational Freedom in North Carolina, and so statewide organization. We're really plugged in, and we're here to be a resource for families. At the end of the day, it's not about choice or option. It's about a quality choice and a quality option. And so, we want our parents to be informed. We want our parents to be educated so that they're hopefully finding that school or electing to enroll their child in that school that they believe is going to work best for them. And that communication engagement will be ongoing, all through the course of the program. We're committed. I'm really happy to say that later this week, we're actually going to be in Charlotte. We're having a Thankful Thursday. This Thursday, we're having a Thankful Thursday Opportunity Scholarship Program evening where we're going to have 6 counties, Mecklenburg County, which is Charlotte, Iredell County, Rowan County, Cabarrus County, Union County, and Gaston County, 6 counties. And in that population of those 6 counties, that represents about 25% of the students and families that are participating in the Opportunity Scholarship Program. And so this Thursday, Thankful Thursday, Bree, we're going to have those families, the schools in those counties that are participating in the program, as well as the elected officials that represents those counties, are all coming together. And these families are going to express, and these school leaders are going to express their thanks to the legislature, to the state of North Carolina for starting this program. And obviously, again, when you just look at those 6 counties alone, they represent 25% of the population that's currently utilizing the Opportunity Scholarship Program. And so, again, we have a lot of grateful, happy parents across this state as a result of this program. And we're already hearing reports just in the first semester alone of the tremendous gains that the children are making it, being in a safe environment, really happy. The teachers have never been more engaged in their educational experiences. So, our elected officials in our state and media will be able to, for the first time in many cases, be able to hear from these parents in terms of how the program is doing and what kind of impact it's having on their children.
Sure, and for people who may not be in Charlotte during Thankful Thursday, what's a way that people can find out more about this or read or hear about these testimonials?
Oh, absolutely. They should visit our website. It's Parents for Educational Freedom in North Carolina, but that's P as in parents, E as in education, F as in freedom, NC.org. That's PEFNC.org, and you'll be able to see those testimonials and see some of the media coverage for such events.
Great. Thanks so much. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Hey, thank you. Always a pleasure.
Thanks.